Welcome to the show, guys. Joseph Camo here, the fantasy football counselor. Beyond excited for week 14 starts and sits. To a lot of people, it's fantasy football playoffs. To a lot of people, you want to win at DraftKings and DFS. This is the episode to listen to. I'm going to go over all the optimal players at each position to give you guys an advantage for starts and sits. Because listen, it's playoff time for a lot of people. Some people may or may not be in the playoffs, but a lot of leagues are. Either way, you got to win this week, guys. If you've made it this far, congratulations, Lion mentality. Let's go and crush it. But you need to know who's optimal at each position. So I'm going to give you guys the starts and sits predicated on matchup at each position. A very important episode, guys. Also, leave your starts and sits questions below. I'll try to get to as many as I possibly can. We've been grinding all year. It all comes down to this. Let's finish hard. Let's finish strong. I'm excited. Before we get into that, guys, again, smash a thumbs up. Leave your questions below. Head on over to manscaped.com. Get your Lawnmower 3.0 trimmer. Amazing product. I love the fit and finish of this thing. You're going to enjoy it. I'm telling you, you're not going to worry about cuts and nicks in your private areas. Get it. They've also got amazing products like a weed whacker for your nose hairs. Everything is there. But again, if you want to save money on an amazing product, use promo code SHOWERLION. That's the code, guys. SHOWERLION at manscaped.com. Get yourself a gift, order it for a friend, whatever it is. Get a trimmer today or whatever product. They have amazing products, including ball wipes. You'll like it. Manscaped.com. Use promo code SHOWERLION. All right, so let's start off with the quarterbacks. The guys have optimal plays. But understand, just because they have an optimal play and the matchup is good does not mean you start them over a guy that's been more consistent. So always look at consistency. So I'll give you kind of like a rule of thumb here. So when you're torn between two players, always look at who's been more consistent. Okay, that's very important. Look at the matchup, and then at the end of the day, go with the gut. And that's on the coin flip type players, right? Oh, Joe, I can't decide between this guy and this guy. You know, at the end of the day, if they've both been consistent, right? They both have similar target counts, volume. They're both performing well. You have to go with your gut at the end of the day. I mean, what else can you do? If everything else is matching and you're torn on a decision, the gut has to outweigh it, because at the end of the day, nobody really knows, because there's been so much volatility in fantasy throughout the years. It's just the way of the game. So quarterbacks have optimal plays. Justin Herbert coming off a terrible week, but has arguably the easiest matchup for his position. So look for a bounce back Herbert this week against Atlanta, okay? Sam Darnold versus Seattle, but do you trust Sam Darnold? Probably not. He did come off a good week with 23 points. Hard to trust. Love Russell Wilson this week. He is expensive on DraftKings at $7,900. Understandably so. I think it's going to be a huge week for him against the Jets. Should absolutely dismantle them, crush them. I think they're a 13-point favorite the way it sits against the spread. Should absolutely crush him. Ryan Tannehill, a guy that I was really high on. He's been doing well all season. Ryan Tannehill absolutely crushing it. Easy matchup versus Jacksonville. Mike Glennon, believe it or not, value play in DFS at $5,100. And again, listen to the Saturday DFS show, guys. But Mike Glennon, I'm telling you, good matchup versus Tennessee. But do I trust him? Probably not really. Be careful. Matt Ryan, good matchup versus the Chargers. Ben Roethlisberger versus Buffalo. Lamar Jackson versus Cleveland. But we already, we saw kind of what he did on Monday. He looks good whenever he played. What is it, Monday? He looked good, 27 points. Will that continue against Cleveland? This is a huge match, divisional matchup, okay? Lamar Jackson, a lot of people drafted him in the second round, thinking he's going to be Lamar Jackson of the past. Will that continue? I don't know. Moving forward, I think he's a little overrated because his ceiling was so high last year, right? So you got to be careful there. Brandon Allen, hard to trust. Phillip Rivers, Aaron Rodgers, all of these guys have good matchups versus positions. Very important that you guys note that. Now, the guys that got in tough, I'm not saying bench him, but Josh Allen's got a tough matchup versus Pittsburgh, coming off 3 amazing weeks. Hard to sit him. I mean, do I start Allen or Josh? Who do I start? Josh Allen or Darnold? I got to still lean Allen, even though the matchup is harder, because I'm going with the guy that's more consistent and the better quarterback. Other guys that have tough matchups at quarterback, Cam Newton, Jalen Hurts, who is getting the start, actually is going to be having a tough matchup against the Saints. Not a good way for him to get in, but hopefully if he prevails here, could be a lot of upside for him. Finally, Wentz gets the bench. I'm beyond excited about that. Derek Carr, Jared Goff, Kyler Murray, Pat Mahomes, Matt Stafford, Deshaun Watson, and Tua all have tough matchups. But again, guys like Kyler Murray, right? Pat Mahomes, hard to sit those guys, okay? Very, very hard to sit those guys. But Derek Carr, coming off a 36-point week, I'd probably consider sitting him. 4th hardest matchup for his position against Indy. doesn't really get me excited. Let's go to the defense, and we'll go tight end, we'll go wide receiver, and we'll go running back. The defense that I like here, I'm going to give you some DFS advice here, and I usually don't give defense in my starts and sits, but I want to make you aware that and if you are streaming, you could stream a defense. These are the guys I like. I like Seattle versus the Jets. I like the Panthers versus Denver. I like the Saints versus Philly. I do kind of like the Cowboys versus Cincy and the Cardinals versus the Giants. Those are some good matchups versus position, and even the Texans versus Chicago, okay? Also good options there. Moving on to tight end here. Let's go to tight end. Again, with tight end, try to get your 10 points out of them. The guys that have optimal matchups here are very easy, guys. The tight ends there with the Texans, although they haven't been performing. Atkins might be a good value play if you're looking at DFS. Mark Andrews has a good matchup coming off a terrible week last time he played. Very boomer busty kind of this year. Hunter Henry, good matchup. Geno Smith, coming off some zeros in the past couple weeks. He was a little bit banged up, was limited in practice on Wednesday. If he plays, he does have a good matchup. Hayden Hurst coming off some terrible weeks, not very consistent, but you got to note he does have a good matchup. I'm just giving you guys have good matchups. Jared Cook, hard to trust with Taysom under center there. He did have a 12-point week, and he did get a touchdown, I believe, last time they played. But before that, 2 crappy games. He does have an easy matchup coming off a good week, but maybe he'll put up a 0 with Taysom there. Who knows? Noah Fant, if healthy, also a good matchup, okay? Those are the guys that have decent matchups. Also, you may want to consider Seattle's tight end as well versus the Jets, okay? Guys that have it in tough, Darren Waller coming off a monster game. How do you sit him? But he is playing Indy. It's going to be a different game, different scenario. Is he going to put up 48 points? Highly unlikely, but I'm telling you, he does have a tough matchup, though, just so you know. Tyler Higbee coming off a 12-point week, tough matchup. Travis Kelce coming off amazing weeks. You can't sit him, but he does have a slightly tougher matchup versus Miami. Evan Ingram, tough matchup, 6th hardest versus position against Arizona, but Evan Ingram, an option there. TJ Hawkinson, Mr. Safe and Reliable, Mr. Double Digits every time, mid-range double digits, like a 14, 15-point gamers. He is playing Green Bay, 7th hardest versus position, has it in a little bit tough. Be aware of that. And Robert Tonyan, safe and reliable, similar to Hawkinson with a little more upside, has a tough matchup, 10th hardest versus position versus Detroit. Just something to be aware of so you know the matchup, so you know, okay, well, you can't get upset. We're like, oh, I started Waller, and he put up a donut. Well, understand he had the toughest matchup versus position. Now you know that, right? All right, so optimal at wide receiver. Okay, here it is, guys. Very simple. Believe it or not, the Jets wide receivers, including Crowder, Mims, have it in easy versus Seattle. Very easy matchup. If you want to start them, good value plays in DraftKings, FanDuel, DFS, you may want to consider them. If you want to look at the wide receivers for Cincy, they have it in easy versus Dallas. But again, quarterback suspect situation there. Be cautious. Mike Evans, all those guys. Godwin, I think he's still banged up. I think it was his finger or something like that. I don't trust these guys, really. There's so many wide receivers with Brown, Evans, but they do have a good matchup. Whoever you decide to start. Maybe Gronkowski you might want to start. Okay, whatever it is. All right, but I'm telling you, these guys have it in good, just a matter of distribution. I think Tampa Bay comes back strong. I really do. If you go back and listen to my last show, I think Tampa Bay comes out strong out of the gate and has a strong stretch near the end here, okay? Keenan Allen, good matchup. All those Chargers receivers against Atlanta, like I said, good matchup. Tennessee Titans wide receivers, good matchups. Keep them on your radar. Who else has got it in good here? Laviska Shenault, Jacksonville versus Tennessee, good matchup. Devontae Adams, Al Lazard, good matchup versus position against Detroit. I mean, Adams has been red hot. You got to start him anyway, and that's why he's $9,300 on DraftKings. That's insane. Jefferson, Thielen, both those guys, both startable, both good matchups. You definitely want to consider them. Allen Robinson's got it in good as well versus Houston. I like his matchup there. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, obviously got to start these guys. Great matchup versus position. And T.Y. Hilton and Michael Pittman have got it in good this week versus the Raiders. Guys that have it in tough, keep it on your radar. Don't get upset if these guys put up donuts, but Deebo Samuel versus Washington and all of the 49ers receivers, Devontae Parker and Miami receivers got it a little bit tough. Kiki Cutie versus Chicago and Brandon Cooks. They could do well. Cutie having a good week, but you got to note here they do have it in a little bit tough this week. Be aware versus Chicago. Other guys that have it in tough are the wide receivers, of course, with the Atlanta Falcons versus the Chargers secondary. Robbie Anderson has it in tough, and of course the Carolina Panthers wide receivers against Denver. Kenny Galladay still banged up. Apparently he still did not practice heading into week 14. I don't trust him, but if you're looking at the wide receivers of the Lions against Green Bay secondary, 8th hardest matchup arguably versus position there. Also Denver and the Steelers wide receivers have it in tough versus the defense they are playing. And of course, also the Raiders. The Raiders have it in tough versus Indy's secondary. So now you know. If you didn't know, you now know and are aware. So there you go. Finally, the running backs, the guys that have it in tough. Let's start off with that since we're coming off that. Miles Sanders got it in tough versus Saints. Dalvin Cook, second hardest versus position versus Tampa Bay. He's got it in a little bit tough. Austin Eckler's got it in tough against Atlanta a little bit. Now you're saying, well, Joe, Atlanta's not that good, but they tend to play running backs a little bit better. 4th hardest versus position according to my algorithmic spreadsheet here. Eckler coming off a mediocre week last time he played. So is that going to continue? Is it going to be boom or bust? Who knows, right? But I'm telling you, not the easiest matchup. Kalen Bellage, also part of the offense there. Be careful with him. 4th hardest versus position. James White, Sony Michel, all those guys. If they're healthy, they're playing the Rams defense. They have it in a little bit tough. Be cautious. Nick Chubb, believe it or not, has it in tough versus Baltimore's defense. They played rush defense a little bit tough. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, got it in a bit tough. Be aware. David Johnson, who kind of sucks, coming off a week where he did get a touchdown playing Chicago, has it in tough. Understand that 10th hardest matchup versus position. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Le'Veon Bell versus Miami, 11th hardest matchup versus position. The guys that have it in really good, Aaron Jones versus Detroit. David Montgomery coming off 2 red hot weeks has got it in really good versus Houston, which could continue that trend of looking really good. Jonathan Taylor got in good versus the Raiders. He actually got a good week last time he was out. Pretty good. Giovanni Bernard, he's been safe, but he's playing Dallas, got it in pretty good. James Robinson, Mr. Red Hot, Mr. Could Be Rookie of the Year at running back or in general, playing Tennessee. He's got it in good, coming off a 23-point week, playing Tennessee. He's got it in good. Who else has got it good? Benny Snell, if he's playing. James Conner, I think he was banged up. But either way, Pittsburgh's running backs, whoever, check the health report there, but they've got it in pretty good here versus Buffalo. Ezekiel Elliott, I'm not sure I think he was a little banged up. He was limited in practice. Check out his injury report. I heard something in the report when I woke up today. Haven't dove into it. But anyway, whoever's playing for the Dallas Cowboys at running back, it'll be Pollard if he gets to start. Cincinnati, they've got a terrible rush defense, so they've got it in good. Whoever's starting at running back. Wayne Gallman versus Arizona, a decent matchup as well. So there you have it, guys. Start them, sit them. Starts and sits for week 14. I can't believe we're here. I just wanted to get to next year at this point. I mean, win your championship, move on. It's been that type of year. Everybody wants to get out of 2020, move on to 2021. I'm beyond excited for what's coming for 2021 with the world situation. We are now better prepared. And, I think we've weathered the storm on how bad it could be. This is probably one of the worst years in fantasy in regards to injuries. It's been absolutely insane. Let's move on from this. Let's finish strong. Let's go hard, guys. And again, make sure you guys smash thumbs up and leave your questions below. I'll try to get to as many as I possibly can. Starts and sits for NFL Week 14. This is it. Go back and check the preview show with me and Tom Santinello. You will enjoy it, guys. Listen, I'm out. Go out there, edit your lineups. Make sure you stay sharp. Go dominate. And I will talk to you guys a little bit later on. We'll talk soon.